price options. And when Dylan presented early on, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago maybe even, Dylan made a presentation and they talked about cheaper procurement options. And you may want to look at different means of procuring. The city of Moncton, for example, wished to build a drinking water plant. They had an engineer's estimate of $28 million. And they decided to procure it by design, build, and operate. They got it for $21 million. And the people that have to operate it have to put good equipment in because they're obligated to operate it for 20 years at a fixed operating fee subject to inflationary pressures. And so you can assure you get good equipment and you get good operations for 20 years. So that is a different procurement method as opposed to getting a different plant. Although you can open it up to companies to say, just give us a plant that will do this. It'll treat this much sewage to this quality. You'll guarantee its performance, you'll guarantee the cost. So those options, that's a different procurement. It's a whole separate issue. You talk about wanting to see all these options. I'm terrified of that talk because our industry is rife with snake oil salesmen. And who is it on the committee is going to weed out these snake oil salesmen, because the more persuasive they are, the more likely they are to be successful to get on the list. I even know a municipality in this area that spent upwards of $100,000 putting specific bugs in the lagoon to eat the sludge. And I can give you their telephone number if you wish, and you can call them. 786-2335. Talk to John Burns.
Here, what do you charge? 200 a day? What is it? 200 a day.
With a coupon. Mr. Lewis?
Mr. Mayor, you asked who was in charge of that letter. I'm part of that habitat stewardship effort. So
Okay.
it's not just about the skink. Just a comment, if I may, or clarification on.
Could we get a copy of that? I don't know where I've seen it. It was advertised.
Well, it hasn't been finalized. It's just a draft form. I'm looking for a copy of some things from the municipality too, so I can clarify some of the issues in the letter. Okay, so just a comment or clarification. I agree with Mr. Rupke as far as getting proposals from other engineering firms. You set down what you require and farm it out there, and you may get some interesting alternatives. I think as far as other engineers being snake oil salesmen, I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't want to make a comment like that. But I think the industry is very proud of their association and their professionalism, and I'm sure they would welcome a project of this type. So I'd be interested in seeing what they have to say. Thank you.
Councilor Russell?
I just had a comment to Ernie's comment and Jerry's comment. In our strategic planning exercise, I put a resolution to council about 3 Ps, public-private partnerships. And we accepted it what did we do it, Marty? We accepted it as an idea that we would accept as we went along with it. So it's not something we haven't looked at. We talked about the wastewater as well as water maintenance. The whole idea of operating. It's sort of in there as a.
I think we said no sacred cows.
No sacred cows. That was how. Yeah, that's how Marty put it. So it is it has possibilities, doesn't it?
Okay. Mr. Matson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's my understanding that Mr. Hutt's comments are still under clarification and consideration at the MOE. One of the things he said was that 98% of the lake pollution comes from the septic systems. Well, I'm sure we can all agree that's probably not very accurate. I would be interested in knowing who invited Mr. Hutt to the meeting so that he could be available to make those comments.
We'll find out. I think he's aware of the project. So.
And I'd also like to point out that the Orbital plant in Tilbury puts 14 parts per million nitrates into the water. The worst groundwater test we had one time was putting 5.8 parts per million into the groundwater. Thank you.
We have items for, in
Mr.
camera.
Mayor,
Confidential
just
item.
before you go on to in camera, I have 2 points. One, to back up what Mr. Matska was saying about the MOE still clarifying Mr. Hutt's presence here and the statements they did make. I've had 7 corresponding emails with the Ministry of Environment because right after that meeting I asked them, how did he appear here? And they're still looking into it, so I'm sure you guys will find the answers to that. The second thing is in regards to the Winter Carnival this weekend in Grand Bend, I took a tour on the horse carriage ride, and I was blown away when a couple with a little child in front of me looked over to the left as we were going between Little Geno's and Archie's, and they said, "Oh, the town's selling their parking lot now." I think that if you're going to make a deal with a citizen and use their property and charge a municipal for parking there, that when their for sale sign went up, you guys pull down the municipal lot sign because it does look like you're closed. That was really hurting for the town of Grand Bend over this weekend. It wasn't a winter weekend, it was the Winter Carnival weekend, and everybody that was in town enjoying the festivities saw that sign.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a quick clarification here I'd just like to have. What Dick spoke to about Mr. Hutt there, I was going to mention something about that, but for those of you that were here on the February 16th meeting, the Build Canada representative did let us know that we still have $14.9 million grant money. It's not gone, and our council does have 8 to 10 months to look at effective other ways. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay. My other question was, I just wondered, because we talked about finance, I just wondered how many years it has been since we've had an audited set of books for Lantern Shores.
They're about to come, the question was, I raised the question today with the staff because the amount for BDO Dunwoody,
Okay.
because of the PSAB, it's been a challenge, and I think they're ready to come in the next month or so.
What year would that be for, the coming years?
2009 and 2010.
Okay. And I just had one other quick question, maybe for Mr. Burns, for you, Mr. Mayor. I just wondered, when you had the extension for K&L for the tender, did that cost the taxpayers money?
I think so.
No? They just extended it?
Yep.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, we have some items to discuss.